Wow. He is a data scientist who will bring an alarming perspective on the once the Golden State. The title of his speech is Ending the California Dream, and I'm just starting my American dream. So, fellow Toastmasters, let's welcome Mr. Mark Blackburn.
By the way, before I start, I believe I had shot that Newcomb. Is it right on Tennessee? Been there many times. I bet you have done business with that store 15 times. That's great. The year was 1848. A beautiful military frigate sailed into a beautiful harbor in Central California, Monterey Bay. I'll bet most of you have been there. The local people, at least the influential ones, were called Californios. And they watched with curiosity as they saw a little boat lowered off the side of the big frigate. Two men got into the boat, they rowed ashore. They walked up and went to a platform where there was a flagpole. They lowered the flag, the Mexican flag, for that territory was known then as Northern Mexico. They raised the United States flag. In that incident, not a single shot was fired, but millions of acres of land transferred jurisdiction from the government of Mexico to the government of the United States. In actual matter of fact, there had been a few skirmishes and a little bit of war preceding that. I might mention what our former president and great General Ulysses S. Grant wrote about that. He said, he called the Mexican War, quote, the most unjust war ever undertaken by a stronger nation against a weaker one. And so in that incident, transferred the land area of Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, Colorado, California, Nevada, and parts of present-day Texas. The United States was kind enough to pay an astonishing $18 million for that territory. Can you imagine? You can't even buy a house in Malibu for that now. Well, this state's had an illustrious and magnificent history, and it started 1 year after that when gold was discovered at Sutter's Mill. Gold! It brought in thousands and thousands of prospectors called the 49ers, and it made wealthy men out of a number of them. And it really put California on the map around the globe, because people came from many foreign countries to search for gold. By 1869, the Transcontinental Railroad was completed, and that interconnected this strange western forbidden territory known as California, considered the promised land, but so hard to reach. But with the advent of that railroad, this state began developing very rapidly. In the early 1900s, the gold rush was over. California was getting to be a regular thing. And there was a new form of wealth coming into the state, also from something sort of golden. They were oranges being grown down in Riverside, California. They were being exported by train all over the country, and it made millions of dollars for the state of California. In fact, you may not be aware, but California truly is an agricultural powerhouse. This country has 3,007 counties. Every one of them reports to the federal government every year how many dollars worth of farm produce they are able to sell. Did you know that 7 of the 10 leading agricultural producing counties are in one valley, in one state, our California Central Valley? And that's just our legal crops. Now, weather and infrastructure has continued to draw people into the state during the 30s and 40s. The arts flourished, agriculture flourished. Beginning in the 1940s, especially in the cities of Burbank and Hollywood, the motion picture industry came into international prominence. Aerospace thrived in San Diego, and finally, during the 1960s and 70s, the digital revolution began in the peach fields of San Jose. Of course, you know that now as the Silicon Valley. I grew up in this state, and it was the most amazing, dynamic, wealthy, inspiring, amazing place. And it still should be, but we've got some problems. California now has the highest housing costs in the nation. We have the highest sales tax in the nation. We have the highest 4 income tax rates in the nation. That means our highest rate is higher than the highest rate of any other state. Our second highest rate is still higher than the highest rate of any other state. Our third highest rate, still higher than the highest rate of any other state. And even our 4th highest income tax rate is higher than the highest income tax rate of all 49 other states. Not to be outdone, continuing in our first place, we have the highest gas tax, which is more than double the median gas tax rate of all other states. In fact, it's so high that until the recent drop in prices, we were paying as much as $1.50 a gallon more than people in the other states. We have the highest property taxes paid. We don't have the highest property tax rates, but because our property values are so high, we pay 93% more than the median property taxes. It's insane. We have the second highest cost of owning a vehicle of all 50 states. We are the only state with a cap and trade tax, something that even proponents agree will do nothing to stop global warming. We have the highest small business tax rate, resulting in the highest business failure rate, which is 69% higher than the average of the other 49 states. We have the highest fees and fines. An example would be our red light cameras, which cost us $490, where the median for the other states is $100. Businesses, do you think they're having a hard time? Well, in 2012, the last year I was able to get information, we lost 5.2% of all businesses in the state in a single year. That's a loss rate 67% higher than the second worst state. Top CEOs who participate in the United States annual chief executive ranking of states have ranked California dead last as, quote, the worst state in which to do business for the last 11 years in a row. This is really horrible. Now, is the state managing its government operations well? Well, by no means. I'll give just one example. Our community colleges have the highest dropout rate of all colleges in the nation. Why would that be? Because our tuition rates are so low and therefore represent such an obligation to our taxpayers, but because they're so low, people drop out. Our government is not doing us any favors. Now, we overpay our people. Firefighters in the state of California are paid 60% more than the average of the other 49 states. Our cops are paid 56% more. Why? Some secretaries who are state employees, if you add up the value of their state pension, their total annual compensation is over $200,000 a year. This is absurd.
John?
Now, just imagine two businesses. A small business right here on Mare Island and a bigger business in Sacramento. They both make the same widgets. Mare Island, they're only able to produce 500 widgets a day. Over in Sacramento, they make 50,000 widgets a day. Huge difference, 100 times more. Who do you think builds widgets at the lower price? If you've had any business training at all, you're going to bank on Sacramento with 50,000 because of economies of scale. They'll be able to buy their raw materials cheaper. They'll be able to organize their labor force, lay out the factory for mass production. They're going to really be able to build widgets cheaper than this little tiny plant on their island. That's just business 101, right? So what is a state government? They're a business that's supposed to provide services for their citizens. And a big part of those services are schools, education, prisons. That factors big into state governments as well. So 1 out of 9 Americans is a Californian. 1 out of 9. We're the 900-pound gorilla in America. We have the most populous state. We have 43 million people. We should therefore be able to provide on a per unit basis services to our people for the lowest cost of all 50 states. We should have the lowest unit cost, we should have the lowest taxes, and the most efficient state government. Yet, as I just explained to you, we have the highest taxes of all 50 states. We are getting shaken down. We are getting ripped off. So what happened? 50 years ago, when I attended grammar school down in Newport Beach, California public schools were the model of the nation. We were well known as having the best public school system in the country. We were the model for the nation. Today, California public schools are tied for dead last with the state of Mississippi. Our poverty rate is what really alarms me. With the taxes and housing and other expenses so high, we now have the highest percentage of people living in poverty of all 50 states. This is most disheartening to me. I grew up calling this the Golden State. Yet our poverty rate is 57% higher than the average of the other 49 states. What is going on here? This state is showing the decline, the disarray, the despair, and governmental hubris that preceded the collapse of the Soviet Union in the 1990s. Thousands of people are leaving this state every day for states with a lower cost of government, less regulation, and a higher quality of life. The following states get by just fine and have no state income tax at all: Nevada, Washington, Texas, Tennessee, Florida, New Hampshire, Alaska, South Dakota, and Wyoming. In 2013, Time magazine published an illuminating article they entitled, "Why Texas is Our Future," detailing that at every economic level, opportunity in Texas was better than the national average. It suggested that for anyone willing to move there, their ability to thrive and survive would be demonstrably better than in California. Now, I love California. I love this state. It's the most beautiful state. I recently took a wonderful trip driving up the entire coastline. I just love it here. But I'm hurt and dismayed that the Golden State has the highest percentage of people living in poverty. And even though I myself earn a salary that allegedly, tragically, is higher than average, I myself am getting a little tired of living in poverty. So I, fellow Toastmasters, am raising the alarm. Let's go after these government goons. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much,